Ooh, okay. Jeremy here, Jeeps Unlimited, 303-666-9020. About to list a frame, just give you a little bit of info about us. We've been doing this for over 30 years, actually about 33 years now. I bought the place 3 years ago, and I specialize in Wrangler parts. But when I bought this place, I've added CJs and the new JKs and Cherokees and everything else. But we still specialize in the Wranglers, and I really have gone after these frames and tubs over the last couple of years. This frame is a California frame. I go out of my way. They're becoming extremely hard to find rust-free straight frames. It used to be fairly easy to get. Matter of fact, at one point I didn't know what to do with frames, so I was scrapping them, which I know is makes me quiver thinking about, because now they're so hard to get and we sell them so quickly. So this is a grade A frame. It's got a little surface on, you see it through here, but I'm going to show you it as if you were here in person. This is still a very clean frame. There's absolutely no rust inside of it at all, or on the outside as far as cancer goes. And the little bit of surface it has, which is just in this area here on the back where they're up above the gas tank here, you can see it if you get kind of a profile shot. This is so not cancerous. It's something you can wire out with a wire wheel. We're actually going to start sandblasting here soon, so that's something you're interested in. It does cost a little bit more, but we can definitely talk about that too. Otherwise, as is, it's a good solid frame. You could bolt it on. I would probably recommend throwing some Rust-Oleum on it, or Port 15, especially if you're on the East Coast or Midwest and you're dealing with rust now. So what you see is what you get. The lines are going to stay on it, although those have been exposed for a while. So if you're going to continue, if you're going to reuse anything that's on this thing, I would suggest blowing them out. But let's just go over it and talk about the areas that are known to kind of rust out in these things. Pretty common on TJs is going to be this back half here, usually starting around the control arm, and I'll flip it over here in a minute. Your upper and lower control arms, your mounts here, those love to eat out, and they get really weak in those areas. So this is a 4-cylinder. You could use it on a 6, but you'd have to move the motor mounts. 6-cylinder frames are really hard to get, so if you need one faster, sooner than later, then maybe it'd be better to buy a 4-cylinder and move the motor mounts. That's completely up to you. It's not super hard to do. I'll talk about that in a minute as well. But anyway, so obviously these ones you can see, and I've hit this with the pressure washer to kind of see. This is, you can see if I just rub here, it's still got all the factory paint. It's got a little pits in it just from rocks hitting it and stuff. That's why it gets some paint on it. But other than that, I mean, the inside of it is nice and smooth. There's nothing inside. That's usually a good way. We always scope these just to double check and make sure there's nothing we can't see on them. And then coming down the side, again, this is another place that kind of gets weak on these. They do sometimes get weak in the front end. Some people need front ends on these guys. This one's all solid as well. You can see down the rails through here. And we're looking at the passenger side right now. These 3 holes are on both sides, and they're on the inside as well. Those are factory. Those are the crumple zones. So if this thing were to get hit in the front, those areas get pretty whacked out pretty quickly. And it's made to absorb the impact before it gets into the motor, which could you know, get into the firewall and then eventually into use. So front bar here, nice and straight, solid. Everything's good there. This area likes to rust out on them. You can see that's perfectly circle. A little bit of the paint worn down to where it's oxidized a little bit, but nothing more than that. And then you have your steering gearbox. This is another place, see if I can get some light on that, that sometimes rots out on these things. This one's all in good shape. These are both of your shock tower and coil spring tower. And then you have your, obviously, your motor mounts. So the motor mounts here, if you were to put this on a, if you were to have a 6-cylinder and want to put this on a 6-cylinder, what you do is grind these off and move them up. The 4-cylinders, to compensate for the shortness of the block, they've moved them back. So if you look at it and you have a 6-cylinder, you'll notice these guys sit about here. They're right behind the coil and shock tower. All right, so this is all nice and solid. Again, good side over here. This rail's all good. And then here's that area that we were talking about on the other side that likes to rot out, and this one's good. It's beautiful, actually. Top of the coil spring bucket in the rear. That's another area they like to rot out. This one's in really good shape. Coming to the back, And then this is all nice and solid and straight. Sun's kind of on me right now, so it's probably giving me a shadow, but I'll flip it over and see if I get a better shot. And then again, this is the top piece, but you can see it. I don't know if I lost you there. You can see it's just where the factory paint came off, and they probably had a little bit of moisture sitting up there, but nothing salt. Again, this is California Jeep. Yeah, I think that's it. So let me flip it over. I'll get some more photos of it on the bottom side. Sometimes the skid plate on the bottom, the belly pan, likes to rot out in these. So that's definitely this thing's. It's not that heavy, but it's a little heavy to lift with one hand. So let me see if I can do it with my right. Yeah. So they actually weigh about probably about 200 pounds ish, give or take a little bit. So. All right, so here's the back side. This is perfect. This is where your gas tank skid mounts to, and actually all the bolts are still intact there. And then this is, again, this is the area that likes to rust out in these things. Down through here, you'll notice if you have holes in them. Pretty common to see holes if you're in the Midwest in that area. This is below the front mounting point to your skid plate for your gas tank skid plate. I think I've been doing this long enough. I'd have this down pat, but just got back actually from picking these up. I'm a little worn out. It took us about a week and a half to drive all the way around the freaking country to get these things. Basically start in Colorado and we work our way west, stop everywhere in between. It's a lot of work, so they have gone up over the years in price, and they probably will continue to go up. And I know there's an aftermarket one out there now. The only thing I'm hesitant on those is they're not DOT approved, so you got to be a little bit cautious when you come to frame and tubs, stuff like that. Using a factory one is probably the best idea. If you ever get in an accident, you have something on there that's not DOT certified. You know, I'm not sure exactly how that works, but we looked into it for a while and it just wasn't worth the liability. So we decided we'll just sell really good, clean, straight, running, driving Jeep frames, tubs, parts, whatnot. So anyway, I know I'm making this video kind of long, but if you're buying this kind of purchase, you probably are like me and want to see every single thing on it. So, all right, so these are the other areas I like to rot out in, up here and over there. And this one's got a little bit of scaling in the center, but threads are good on all these. None of these are broken off. And most of what you're seeing here, actually, even though this would come off real easy with a wire wheel, most of this, actually, anything that's on here, it's deteriorates more from the belly pan side than it does the frame side. So this is in very, very clean shape. And we do have nice clean belly pans as well, if you're looking for those. Try to focus this again because I think I got out of focus on it. I got some shadows, so do apologize. About 5 o'clock out here in Denver, or 5 or 6 anyway, and the sun's just about to go down. So, but nice clean over here. This one's all good, and we're back at where we started. So, anyway, JeepsUnlimited.net. You can purchase this online. You can call us. Megan does our phone sales. She's awesome. She knows these frames very well. Typically, these have less than a 7-day shelf life, meaning that once we list it, we usually get them sold. Sometimes the same day, sometimes a couple days later. But the point is, they don't sit around. So, if it's something you're needing sooner than later, give us a call if you've seen this one. Even if we've sold this one, we'll probably get some more in. At least I hope we so, or I'm going to be changing my business model. And then I got one more frame I'm about to put up over there. That's a nice clean frame as well. That one had a 350 mounted that somebody cut the motor mounts on and then put 350. So it's ready to go with 350. I usually don't buy Jeeps that have that kind of stuff on them, but every once in a while we get a request for one. So if you're replacing a frame and you're thinking about putting a 350 in it or small block Chevy, you can buy that frame and get a nice clean frame and a 350, and you can throw your engine in it. So anyway, 303-666-9020. Thanks a lot.